Decision-making and decision implementation. Mobilizing support is about making decision-makers change their behavior. This can mean that either they take a new decision, for example, to adopt a new law or allocate a budget to a project, or they take measures for implementing an existing policy, law, or rule. For example, to ensure that the Ministry of Education implements the measures foreseen by the National Plan for Primary Education. Let's focus first on the decision-making, on how new decisions are taken, brainstorm, and agenda setting. Decision-making starts with a brainstorm phase. Beneficiaries may be unsatisfied with the existing situation that was created by previous decision. They or others on behalf of them may use research to show the negative effects of that decision, and they may pressure for a new decision. Different actors may discuss recommendations for a new decision. Some may ask for the issue to be put on the agenda of the decision makers. Hence, another name for this phase is the agenda setting phase. In this phase, it may still be relatively easy for civil society organizations to participate. The following stage is the formulation phase. When a draft decision is first put on paper, it can be a new law, a policy, or decision to allocate funds to fulfill a need of the community. Often, a smaller group writes the first draft of the decision. This group usually consists of a few decision makers to receive advice from experts. Participation is still possible, but often one needs to be invited in. Then follows the pre-decision phase. The version of the decision that was formulated earlier now goes through a number of reviews. This phase is more political than technical. Often the decision makers and their advisors change the decision that was formulated earlier. Frequently, it is not very clear who is working on it. Therefore, it is more difficult for seers to influence a decision in this phase. The final phase is the formal decision phase. In this phase, the decision is taken. This is often a formality. Usually, it is almost impossible to change or stop the decision at this final stage. Now, we will focus on decision implementation, on how new decisions are carried out. Once a policy exists, it needs to be implemented. If a positive decision for the beneficiaries will be implemented properly, it will bring the hope for improvements to those beneficiaries, but we will know that a problem very often develops when good decisions, good policies, good laws or rules are not well applied, not implemented, or not backed by the necessary resources. As a result, beneficiaries are not satisfied at all. When we notice that a decision is not implemented, we have to find out what goes wrong, why, and where. Thus, the first question to ask yourself is, what is the obstacle? The second question to ask yourself is, at what level do we find the obstacle? This can be at any level from the lowest to the highest level, as the implementation of a decision or a rule is often passed on from decision implementers from a higher level at those at lower levels. Third question to ask yourself is, what are the reasons that the decision is not implemented at this level? There could be different reasons. For example, the instructions for implementation are not clear. An example at the local level. It could be that an instruction from the school principal is not followed because the teachers do not understand what he or she wrote, as the new decision is not adapted to the situation of the local level. The decision is not well known at the lower level. For instance, it could be that the national policy on the education is not followed because the district school supervisors are not informed about it. There is no qualified staff to implement decisions. For example, if hospitals in a country refer patients with more complicated kidney problems to provincial hospitals, it could be that at provincial level there aren't sufficient kidney specialists. There are no resources at the highest level. For example, the government decrees that each and every village should have a school of its own, but it does not increase the state budget for education. There can be many more reasons. Some reasons can be at more than one level. The fourth question to ask yourself is, where can I go to signal or complain that the decision or the law is not well implemented? Sometimes one can go to the person who is responsible for the implementation, but who does not actually do what he or she is supposed to do. You could ask why this is the case. There may also be a possibility to flag the problem to a person who is higher in rank. Sometimes there are also formal mechanisms to which one can file a complaint. Think, for example, of a complaint box in an enterprise, or to raise matters in regular meetings of citizens with the mayor. Most of the mobilizing support is about checking the implementation of policies and decisions and work on signaling the problems. Sometimes, claiming a correct implementation of the rules and decisions at a higher level of policy implementation can greatly improve a situation. The most important thing is, there is an important role for local organization to mobilizing support, especially if you succeed in working together with more experienced organizations or networks. Together, you can mobilize support to influence decision implementers and thus really change the situation for the beneficiaries.